Iran has gone public with new images, claiming they expose what it calls a major lie in the US military's version of events. Tehran is now challenging CENTCOM zero damage claim, insisting newly released photos tell a very different story. Did Iranian precision missiles punch through US air defenses and successfully strike a key American-linked airbase in Jordan? The Pentagon's repeated zero damage claim is now facing renewed scrutiny as Iran unveils what it describes as fresh evidence. Iran's Revolutionary Guard has released new photographs to challenge CENTCOM repeated claims that its missile strikes caused zero damage. The IRGC published what it described as photographic proof showing damage at Jordan's Muwaffaq Salti air base following the Iranian missile attack. IRGC's statement read, and I quote, "It is better to stop the intense censorship and provide accurate data to the world so that people can judge for themselves and see live what we mean when we say the aggressor will be punished, and that this punishment happens immediately," unquote. The released photos allegedly showed damage to a maintenance hangar used to service US fighter jets at the strategically important Jordanian airbase, according to Press TV. The IRGC accused the US military of deliberately censoring the true extent of damage caused by Iran's precision missile strikes during the operation. The accusations came after CENTCOM maintained that the Iranian missiles were either intercepted by air defenses or failed to strike their intended targets. Iran claimed the newly released images prove its precision missiles successfully penetrated US air defenses and reached the targeted military facility during the attack. The IRGC urged the United States to release what it called the real data and allow the international community to judge the facts independently. The Revolutionary Guard said the strike demonstrated that any aggression against Iran would be met with immediate and forceful military retaliation. CENTCOM has also rejected Iranian claims that multiple US military aircraft were destroyed during the missile attack on the Jordanian base. The Jordanian Muwaffaq Salti air base continues to serve as a critical hub supporting US military air operations across the wider Middle East region. Jordan said its air defenses intercepted and shot down 5 missiles launched from Iran early on July 30th before they could reach their intended targets. The Jordanian military said all 5 missiles were destroyed in the air and that the interceptions caused no casualties or damage on Jordanian territory. The Iranian missile launches toward Jordan came shortly after US strikes targeted multiple Iranian military sites on July 30th, sharply escalating tensions. Iranian media reported that a US strike on Qeshm Island killed 3 people and wounded 2 others during the overnight attacks. Tasnim said US aircraft launched multiple missiles against several locations across Qeshm Island as part of the operation. IRIB also reported that US airstrikes targeted areas around Bushehr, Jam, and Kormoy during the same wave of attacks. The developments came as Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps issued a fresh warning directed at the United States and its regional allies. Statement by IRGC said, and I quote, "Zealous and ambitious people of Islamic Iran, your determination on the battlefield has disrupted the enemy's front and strengthened the ranks of Islamic warriors and given them new life. Last night, 2 oil tankers tried to leave the unsafe route south of the Strait of Hormuz with the instigation of American birds. But after a severe fire broke out in one of them, both vessels turned back quickly. Strait of Hormuz is our land, and the naval ships of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps are in full control of it, and a stranger who came from thousands of kilometers away will not be allowed to interfere. With the help of Almighty God, the aggressor will be punished today. Countries involved in aiding the aggressor will receive a harsh response if they do not correct their behavior. The Strait of Hormuz cannot be reopened as long as there are exaggerations and threats by American officials and their interference in maritime movements in the region, and threats and interventions will make the situation more difficult and complicated. An Iranian lawmaker also described closing the Strait of Hormuz as a natural response to recent US military actions against Iran. Nadegoli Ibrahimi said Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz remained non-negotiable under any circumstances despite mounting pressure. Ibrahimi argued that abandoning Iran's position on Hormuz would amount to yielding to pressure from the country's regional adversaries. He also called for Iran to adopt a wartime posture to confront what he described as US and Israeli economic and currency warfare. After meeting Netanyahu, President Trump orders a fresh wave of military strikes on Iranian targets. Donald Trump ordered US Central Command to launch fresh airstrikes on Iran, escalating the confrontation and raising questions about what could come next in the ongoing conflict. US Central Command statement read, and I quote, "US forces began launching strikes against Iran at 8 p.m. Eastern Time today. The strikes are a powerful response to yesterday's attempted Iranian attacks on U.S. forces based in the Middle East, unquote. The CENTCOM statement further read, and I quote, "At 10 p.m. Eastern Time on July 29th, U.S. Central Command forces successfully completed a heavy wave of strikes against Iran in response to yesterday's attempted missile attacks on U.S. forces. CENTCOM assets struck dozens of Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps targets in Iran, including military command centers, missile and drone facilities, coastal surveillance and defense sites, and maritime capabilities. The strikes aim to further diminish threats posed by Iran and its proxies to American forces, commercial shipping, and neighboring Gulf countries. On July 28th, IRGC forces launched multiple ballistic missiles from Iran in an attempted surprise attack on U.S. forces based in the Middle East. All Iranian missiles were successfully intercepted. More than 50,000 U.S. service members are currently deployed to the Middle East and remain highly vigilant, focused, lethal, and ready." Unquote. 3 explosions were reported on Qeshm Island, according to Iran's Tasnim News, raising fresh questions about the extent of damage caused by U.S. strikes. U.S. strikes reportedly targeted locations in Abadan, located in Iran's Khuzestan province, as military pressure continues to build across key areas. Additional U.S. missile strikes were also reported near Avaz, Shadgan, and Avandkana, expanding the list of locations affected in the latest wave of attacks. Although, an Iranian official did not provide details on possible casualties, leaving the extent of the damage and human impact unclear. This comes as Donald Trump's warning against Iran appears to have turned into the latest series of strikes, marking another major development in the growing confrontation. Washington says it's now America's turn to respond as tensions with Tehran spiral once again.
On the attack, the drone attack on the LNG tanker off of Egypt, what can you tell us about that? And is there any indication it's Iran-related? Does it represent?
Well, I can give you a report. I've been briefed. It's a little more of the same, but it's going to be straightening out. It's going to be straightening out. In the meantime, we're going to be hitting them very hard, because it's our turn to hit them. They know it's coming. They're asking us not to do it, but they tried shooting it last night. So we had 5 rockets shot going 8,500 miles an hour, and all 5 rockets were knocked down to the ground. But they nevertheless took a shot, so it's our turn. And we'll see if we get there with an agreement at some point, but we're going to hit them very hard.